the last class. Make it fast. No answers. Vignesh, Narmata. Narmata,
Ma'am, good afternoon, ma'am.
give answers.
Yes, ma'am.
What are you doing? Say what we have discussed in the last class regarding oxidation and reduction, concepts of oxidation and reduction process.
Oxidation reduction, oxygen transfer path, ma'am. Hydrogen transfer path, ma'am. Electron transfer path, ma'am.
Okay. Explain based on any one concept. Don't know. Okay, thank you for your cooperation. Let's discuss now regarding the remaining parts of redox titration. Hopefully today or by tomorrow morning your syllabus will be completed. My part in your PA1 will be completed with this topic. Okay, and you will be given with class test and assignments on redox titrations in the forthcoming classes in order to revise the topics. Okay. We have seen, as per your syllabus, we have seen the contents, concepts of oxidation and reduction. This is what we have discussed in the last class. And the B part, types of redox titration, that is principles and applications of serimetry, iodimetry, iodometry, bromotometry, and dichrometry. And another one is iodatometry. Iodatometry it is. So these are different types of redox titrations what we are going to discuss today. Different types of redox titrations: serimetry, iodimetry, iodometry, bromotometry, dichrometry, and iodatometry. That is titration with potassium iodate. The concepts of oxidation and reduction we have seen about based on oxygen transfer, what is oxidation and reduction, and what are oxidizing agents and reducing agents, and as per hydrogen transfer, what is oxidation and reduction, and what are oxidizing agents and reducing agents based on hydrogen and oxygen transfer concept. And we have seen electron transfer concept based on the electron transfer concepts, oxidation and reduction, and the oxidizing agents and reducing agents we have seen with the examples. Now let's move on to the types of redox titrations, the principle and applications. I have given the whole types, all 6 types of redox titration in a tabular column for easy understanding purpose and easy recollecting the points, recalling the points. It is given in the tabular column here. For this chemical reactions and brief mechanisms, you can read from the textbooks. Okay, e-textbooks have been uploaded now, and even from the Google search also, from net source also, you can get the chemical reactions, and I have uploaded material and ebooks. From that you just copy the chemical reactions for each titration method. Okay, now let's see the simplified form of titrations in order to recollect all the points related to and comparatively study all the points related to each and every redox titration methods. Okay, in that what are 6 methods we need to discuss: serimetry, iodimetry, iodometry, then bromotometry, dichrometry, and iodatometry. These are 6 kind of titrations. In serimetry, what are the difference we will find in each titrations means what type of sample or titrate or unknown concentration what we are going to determine. So what kind of sample we are using and what is the known concentration of substance, that is titrant we are using. This is burette content and this will be conical flask content. Burette content is titrant where conical flask content is titrate. Okay. And then what indicator is used in each kind of titrations and what is the end point and what are the applications, what kind of substances or drug products can be analyzed or assayed by the particular titration method, using the particular titration method. So what are the difference we are going to see about what titrate we will be using under each category. Now you know what are the different categories, that is serimetry, IOD, iodometry, bromato, dichro and iodatometry. These 6 categories we are going to see. And then what are the differences we are going to discuss? Titrate, what is the titrate? That is what is unknown, to be determined. Unknown means unknown concentration of that particular sample is to be determined, and this is known concentration is used, standard concentration is used to determine the sample, that is titrant. Then indicator will indicate the reaction between titrate and titrant, completion of reaction between titrate and titrant. To indicate that we will be using indicator. Okay, indicator solutions. This is the reagent method. Then another one is endpoint. When we use the indicator dyes, different indicators for color change, we'll be finding different color change at the endpoint. So what will be the endpoint color? And what are the applications? With one example I have given as applications of that particular category of redox titration method. Now let's see about serimetry. It was found by Ion Atanasu. Okay, you can pronounce whatever way you want. Okay, so he is the scientist who developed serimetry, where he has used ferrous sulfate. In this case, ferrous sulfate as titrate. That will be ferrous in reduced state. Okay, and this will be the this will go for oxidation by means of oxidizing agent. So here reductant will be ferrous sulfate, oxidant will be ferric ammonium sulfate. Ferric ammonium sulfate is oxidizing agent where ferrous sulfate is reducing agent. By means of ferric ammonium sulfate, ferrous sulfate will be oxidized, and by means of ferrous sulfate, ferric ammonium sulfate will be reduced. So this is the redox reaction takes place between ferrous and ferric ion. Okay, ferric state is oxidized state of ferric ammonium sulfate, where ferrous is reduced state of ion, right? Ferric and ferrous and ferric likewise. This is cerium salt. This is ferrous salt. So titration between these two, oxidizing agent and reducing agent, is taking place. Here titrant is ferric ammonium sulfate. Hence the titration is called as serimetry. So when we use titrant as ferric ammonium sulfate, then the titration is called as serimetry. So what kind of, this is oxidizing agent, so reducing agents can be analyzed. Reductants can be analyzed by using this technique. So mostly ferrous sulfate or any reducing agent similar to ferrous sulfate can be analyzed. Here indicator known as ferroin sulfate. Ferroin is nothing but, here you can see 110 phenanthroline ferrous complex. It is 110 phenanthroline phenanthroline ferrous complex is known as ferroin. So ferroin sulfate is used as indicator in serimetry. Okay, appearance of pink color at the end point, appearance of pink or red color, related to pink or red color based on the intensity of color, it will be the end point color. Okay. It will show the end point of titration, that is redox reaction between ferrous and ferric ammonium sulfate. Example is assay of ferrous sulfate tablets. Ion tablets can be assayed by using ferric ammonium sulfate as titrant. Okay, ferric ammonium sulfate as titrant. Then next category is iodimetry. Clear now about serimetry. Since ferric ammonium sulfate is used as burette content or known standard solution for analyzing any reductant like ferrous sulfate, it is called as serimetry. Mostly based on the titrant used, it will be named with the particular titration method. So we can use ferric ammonium sulfate in serimetry. What will be the indicator? Ferroin sulfate. What is ferroin sulfate? All are listening, right? Listening or not? Getting my point here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So endpoint will be pink color, indicator is ferroin sulfate, ferrous sulfate is analyzed by serimetry. For this chemical reactions, kindly get down from the notes available. Okay, in the classroom I have already posted. You can read and get the notes. Okay, and iodimetry. Unknown sample analyzed will be sodium thiosulfate. Sodium thiosulfate is reducing agent, and the titrant will be known concentration of iodine is used. So directly iodine solution will be taken in the burette. So direct titration method it is, where reducing agent will be directly titrated with oxidizing agent. So related to sodium thiosulfate, any sulfides here you can find sodium meta bisulfite. Sulfides can be analyzed by using direct iodimetric method. Okay, direct titration with iodine. It is called iodimetry. Iod represents iodine. Iodine is directly used as titrant for analyzing reducing substances like sodium thiosulfate and sodium metabisulfite. Generally, it is applicable for analyzing sulfides and bisulfides. Sulfides and bisulfides. You can note down the spelling here. Sulfides and bisulfides can be assayed by iodimetry. Iodimetry means what? Direct iodine is used for titration. So burette content will be iodine in iodimetry. So what will be the indicator? Starch solution. Always iodine will interact with starch to give blue color. So appearance of the blue color is endpoint of titration between iodine and sodium thiosulfate. Here what is oxidizing agent? Iodine is oxidizing agent. What is reducing agent? Sodium thiosulfate is reducing agent. Okay, now let's see about iodometry. Let's move on to the third category. So first category is serimetry. Here ferrous sulfate and ferric ammonium sulfate are used in assays. Oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Reducing agent is ferrous sulfate. Oxidizing agent is ferric ammonium sulfate. According to the concepts of oxidation and reduction, just go through what is oxidation and reduction, so that you will be understanding what is reducing and oxidizing agent and what is the indicator. Ferroin sulfate. It is also ferrous complex, reduced state of ion only used in this indicator. What is ferroin sulfate? 110 phenolphthalein ferrous complex. Okay, it will show pink or red color at the end point. Mostly appearance of pink color will be the end point. Okay, now let's move on to the iodimetry. Iodimetry, here iodized as a direct titrant. That means iodine will be released during the titration, that is liberated iodine. So from the sample, by means of interaction with potassium iodide, it will liberate the iodine. In conical flask, iodine will be liberated. So this is indirect method. Like Volhart's method also we have done based on this technique, I think so. Already we have discussed this back titration, but in iodometry, according to redox titration, we'll be using different titrant, that is sodium thiosulfate. And this method is otherwise known as Andrews-Jamieson method. Okay, Andrews-Jamieson method. Here iodized, iodine is iodized as a direct titrant from the sample. It will be iodized. And this iodine is directly titrated with sodium thiosulfate. And liberated iodine is oxidizing agent. When it is titrated with known concentration of reducing agent like sodium thiosulfate, this technique is called as iodometry. Here liberated iodine is used for titration. Okay, and this iodine is acting as titrate here, and titrant is sodium thiosulfate. Known concentration, this is unknown concentration. So if we determine the titer value of iodine, we can find out the how much concentration of sample is present. For example, assay of copper sulfate is done based on iodometric technique. And here also starch solution is used. Appearance of the blue color is the endpoint of titration between redox reagents. Here what is reducing agent? Sodium thiosulfate. What is oxidizing agent? Liberated iodine. Okay. Here also appearance of the blue color at the endpoint. Reaction of starch with liberated iodine will give you the blue color. Example of iodometric assay is assay of copper sulfate. Okay. Related to copper sulfate, whatever compounds you could find drug molecules can be assayed by iodometry, and iodometry is widely used comparing with iodimetry. Okay, since iodine is more expensive, this will not be widely used like iodometry, where iodometry is widely used technique for any drug molecule assay as per redox method. Okay, now we have completed 3 category of redox methods. One is serimetry, iodimetry, and iodometry. Now let's move on to the 4th category, that is bromatometry. Bromatometry, where bromate is used. What type of bromate? Potassium bromate. Potassium bromate, KiO3. KiO3, that is potassium. KBrO3. KBrO3, that is potassium bromate. KiO3 is KBrO3. KBrO3 is potassium bromate. When using potassium bromate as titrant, then the technique is called bromatometry. Isoniacid, the drug molecule isoniacid, and organoarsenicals category of drugs can be analyzed by bromatometry using the known concentration of titrant, that is potassium bromate. Okay, potassium bromate. And here indicator used is methyl red, and disappearance of red color is the endpoint for isoniacid drug analysis. Bromatometry in isoniacid analysis it is used. Isoniacid is a drug. It is an anti-tubercular drug. Okay. It is titrated against potassium bromate as titrant. Here methyl red is used as indicator, and disappearance of red color is the endpoint. It is applicable for assay of hydroxylamine and organoarsenicals, compounds related to hydroxylamine. This is another category of drug, hydroxylamine. And the group of compounds called as organoarsenicals are assayed by bromatometry. Okay. Here, bromate, potassium bromate will interact with the acid, hydrochloric acid, and it will be releasing potassium chloride. Okay. And excess of hydrochloric acid will be interacting with potassium bromate, so that only methyl red is used as indicator. Here acid is involving in the titration process, so that only methyl red acid base indicator is used in bromatometry. So disappearance of red color is the endpoint. Just find out the pH range what we have seen for methyl red under acid base titration method, and so that you will understand why disappearance of red color is the endpoint. Okay, now let's move on to the 5th category of redox method, that is dichrometry. So definitely why the name derived as dichrometry, we'll be using potassium dichromate as titrant. Here potassium dichromate is oxidizing agent, where ferrous ammonium sulfate is reducing agent. Potassium dichromate is well-known oxidizing agent. Even in many chemical reactions as an oxidizing agent it will be used. Potassium dichromate will be used for hydrogen transfer oxidation reactions. Potassium dichromate will be used as oxidizing agent. So when in titration processes, Wherever we use potassium dichromate as titrant, then the technique is called as dichrometry, where ferrous ammonium sulfate can be analyzed by using this technique. An indicator used is ferroin. It is similar to serimetry, right? Serimetry. Ferrous reducing compounds are analyzed, where ferric ammonium sulfate is used as oxidizing agent. Here, potassium dichromate is used as oxidizing agent. Only the titrant is varying comparing with serimetry for this dichrometry. And ferroin only indicator, pink or red color appearance. The endpoint is the endpoint color. Then determination of ferrous and ferric ions in a solutions are achieved with dichrometry. Then last one is iodotometry. Hope you have understood dichrometry since it is similar to serimetry. Instead of ferric ammonium sulfate, potassium dichromate is used. Here ferrous salts can be analyzed. Iodotometry is iodized as a source of iodine. In iodotometry, the sample will be iodized as a source of iodine only. Iodine will not be reacting with the titrant, but it will be acting as means it will release the iodine indirectly. It will liberate the iodine just to indicate the reactions between sample and titrant. Okay, it will indicate or it will show the endpoint of reaction completion between titrate and titrant. So this technique is called iodotometry. Here what kind of samples can be analyzed means potassium iodide, iodide samples like hydralazine hydrochloride injections as per IP, Indian Pharmacopoeia, and iodine tinctures can be analyzed by iodotometry. Here titrant used is known concentration of potassium iodate. Okay, potassium iodate will be reducing agent. Here potassium bromate and iodates are reducing agent, where it will be getting oxidized by means of it is oxidizing agent. It will be reduced by means of potassium iodide to liberate iodine. Iodine will be again oxidizing agent, and that will give blue color with starch. So the liberated iodine from potassium iodide during the reaction will interact with the starch and it will show the blue color. Once the reaction completes in the chloroform layer, why I have added here chloroform means in the chloroform layer iodine will show purple color. At the end point, the disappearance of this blue color due to iodine and starch interaction occurs, that is disappearance of blue color occurs. So this is the endpoint in iodotometry. Here iodized, the sample is getting iodized as a source of iodine only, where potassium iodide will be directly titrated with potassium iodate. Iodide salts will be titrated with iodate, potassium iodate. Okay. Iodate is oxidizing agent, where bromate also oxidizing agent, where potassium bromide and potassium iodides are reducing agents. Okay, and it will be getting oxidized by means of iodates and bromates, and it will release iodine in the titration process. This liberated iodine will interact with the starch and it will be separated from acidic layer by means of chloroform. So in the chloroform layer you can find the iodine starch the colors, that is as blue color. At the end point it will be disappeared. So disappearance of blue color is the end point in iodotometry. Example is assay of hydralazine hydrochloride and its injection IP. Then iodine tinctures, weak iodine tincture, aqueous iodine solutions, this all can be analyzed by iodotometry. Okay, and here are some examples as per IP. It is given here. For serimetry applications, for serimetry, ferrous gluconate, ferrous sulfate, iron dextran injection, menadione, paracetamol, tocopherol acetate. These all samples can be assayed by using ferric ammonium sulfate as titrant. Here you can take down this examples for applications of serimetry. Serimetry is what? Ferrous sulfate and ferric ammonium sulfate, titration with ferric ammonium sulfate. Similar to ferrous sulfate, other ferrous salts are analyzed, and different other drugs also are analyzed by ferric ammonium sulfate using serimetry. Then applications for applications of iodimetry, the drugs assayed by iodimetry using direct iodine solution. Here you can see the burette content is iodine solution. What are the drugs means? Ascorbic acid, sodium ascorbate, sodium thiosulfate. This all can be analyzed by iodimetry using a direct iodine solution. Then iodometry example is liberated iodine will be titrated with titrant sodium thiosulfate reducing agent. That is diiodohydroxyquinoline, diiodohydroxyquinoline. It will liberate iodine from the reaction during titration method. Then mannitol, then in phenindione. This all will be liberating iodine in the conical flask, and liberated iodine will be titrated with sodium thiosulfate as titrant. And difference between iodometry and iodimetry are it is a direct titration method, iodimetry. Iodo is indirect method, and number of redox reaction is 1. Directly sodium thiosulfate is reacting with iodimetry. Here in iodometry, reactions are 2 reactions. One is analyte will liberate iodine, then iodine will interact with sodium thiosulfate. So number of redox reactions are 2 here. Then iodine will get reduced here by sodium thiosulfate. Here iodine will get oxidized initially, then reduced by the reducing agent. Okay, it is getting oxidized, then it is reduced by the reducing reagent. Less commonly used in experiments iodimetry since expensive nature of iodine sample. Then more commonly used in experiments since only liberated iodine is titrated with sodium thiosulfate, so it is more commonly used. Then iodimetry is used to quantify reducing agents. Iodometry is used to quantify oxidizing agents. Oxidizing agents will oxidize iodine to form free iodine, and this is oxidizing another reducing agent. So here is the oxidizing agents are quantified. In iodometry, reducing agents are quantified. In iodometry, sodium thiosulfate is quantified, right? Sodium thiosulfate is what? Reducing agent. In iodometry, oxidizing agents are quantified, like liberated iodine. Iodine will be liberated from some other oxidizing agent. That is your sample. It will be what? Liberating iodine by means of oxidation. Then this iodine will reduce sodium thiosulfate. That is the reaction. So these are difference between iodometry and iodimetry. And these are some common oxidants in redox titration. Hope you have seen potassium permanganate. Permanganometry is not mentioned in your syllabus, but it is a major category under redox titration. So just I'd like to mention this category also here. Potassium permanganate. Permanganometry is not mentioned in your syllabus, but it is also there. And it is standardized with potassium dichromate, arsenic trioxide. And potassium bromate, this is also oxidant. We have seen bromatometry. Then ceric ion, ceric ammonium sulfate, cerium ion, cerium 4 ion. This is also oxidizing agent. Then potassium dichromate, then iodine. These are all oxidizing agents commonly used in redox titration. And these are standardized with mentioned chemicals. Arsenic trioxide. For potassium permanganate, hope you have studied primary standards and secondary standards. So these are all those standards used for standardizing the oxidants. Arsenic trioxide, potassium bromate, then arsenic trioxide ion, potassium dichromate, then sodium thiosulfate. These are used as standardizing agents. And for this oxidants, what are the reduction products means? Manganese. From this oxidants, reduction products are manganese from potassium permanganate, bromide from potassium bromate, ceres, reduced form of ceric ion, then chromium ion, then iodide ion. So these all reduced reduction products of oxidants during the titration process. And these are some redox indicators. Diphenylamine, this specifically not mentioned in your syllabus. These are additional information what I am giving. Difference between iodimetry and iodometry is not given, but for exam purpose this is all needed. And common oxidants you should know, then only you can differentiate different reducing agents and oxidizing agents, and primary standards used for standardizing these oxidants. These are you require, okay. to get more knowledge about redox titration, I have included this information. And then redox indicators, diphenylamine is one of the redox indicator. Here you can see for tocopherol acetate, diphenylamine is used in serimetric titration. So diphenylamine, color of indicator in oxidized condition is violet. Color of indicator in reduced condition is colorless. This is voltage, potential of this indicator during potentiometric analysis. You can note down these readings. Then phenanthralinic acid, phenylanthhralinic acid, reddish violet color in oxidized condition, then colorless in a reduced condition. Then ferroin, pale blue in oxidized condition, in reduced condition red color. So red color is the endpoint in serimetry and dichrometry. So in reduced condition is the color of ferroin. Then orthodox diphenylamine dicarboxylic acid. It will be dark blue violet color in oxidized condition, then colorless in reduced condition. Then diphenylamine azosulfonic acid, reddish violet and colorless. It is similar to phenylanthhralinic acid. The color change will be okay. So these are some redox indicators. Here we can we have seen ferroin and diphenylamine as common indicators. Okay, where other indicators also are used as redox indicators. Then with this redox titrations completed, you have to, in the next class, okay, you have to write class test and assignments on unit 3 and unit 4. Tomorrow first hour we'll revise once again all the titration methods what we have discussed for second sessional. I will post all the PPTs in the live class. Tomorrow morning first hour we'll revise all the techniques once. Then I will assign a topic with assignment on this redox method. The assignment will be the same, drugs analyzed by each category. In the similar way, you have to collect 5 examples under each category. Okay, so principles and applications only assignment for you. Principles and applications of types of redox titrations are the assignments. 1 week take time, write and submit. It is very important. You will get essay question from this. So write assignment on unit 4. Unit 4, in that only types of redox titration. Types of redox titration, all 6 times you have to write both principle and applications, chemical reactions and applications. If you write chemical reactions only, you will be knowing the ionized forms of each and every oxidant and reductant. So that, okay. Now I have explained the concept only. You have to write briefly in your assignment book. Next week at the same time, you have to submit the assignment today. Next week, the same day, you have to submit. Okay, Monday. And thank you all. With this, I'm stopping today's class. Is there any doubt? Tomorrow we'll have the Viva, okay, for remaining 30 members. After revision, they'll be having Viva, okay. Kindly go through the reference books, e-books and notes uploaded in your classroom. I have uploaded notes and the materials part, materials theory part. If you select, you will find for redox titration and diazotization titration methods. For other topics, you can find the stream only, classroom stream, the methods, materials for other topics. Class test will be in the next week, Monday. Monday, you will be having class test. In the next week, on Monday, the same timing, either 1:30 to 2:30 or 3 to 4. Monday, you will be having class test on Unit 4. Unit 4 and Unit 3. Unit 3 is the 2 units gravimetry and diazotization. You have not given with class test. No. So, Monday, next Monday, you will be having class test on Unit 3 and 4. I'll be giving questions during your class test timing only, not before. So get prepared on these 3 topics: gravimetry, diazotization titration, and then redox titration. These 3 topics be thorough for class test. Assignment also to be submitted. Today I will assign the assignment. On Monday you need to submit the assignment. So 1 week time for both class test and assignments. Get prepared. All the best. You be safe. Take care. Thank you.